Alright, in this video I'm going over taxes and the budget constraint. In particular, I'm going over quantity taxes, ad valorem taxes, income taxes, and lump sum taxes. And these are taxes that are discussed, at least most of them, in the Hal Varian microeconomic theory early chapter. So, quantity tax on good X1. Oh, and of course we have our actual budget constraint, which I'll write at the bottom. So we're working with the budget constraint. That's the price of good X1 times the quantity of good X1, and I've been using chocolate and bananas or chocolate and strawberries. So $2 price of chocolate times quantity of chocolate, that's the total spending on chocolate, plus $10 per bushel thing of strawberries times the quantity of strawberry bushels that you buy. This is your total spending on strawberries. Needs to be less than or equal to the amount of money you have, which might be $100, something like that. So that's the budget constraint we're working with. What is a quantity tax? It's just like a 50-cent tax per bar of chocolate. So it's a dollar amount of taxed times the number of units you buy. So essentially it acts like an increase in the price of that one good. So this is what a quantity tax will look like in the budget constraint. So if bars of chocolate are normally $2, the price of chocolate's $2, and you're placing a 50-cent tax per bar of chocolate, then the effective price is going to be $2.50. So if you put a 50-cent tax on chocolate bars and the normal price of chocolate bars is $2, then essentially you're raising the price of chocolate bars to $2.50. So $2 plus the 50-cent tax, this behaves like the total price of chocolate bars that needs to be multiplied by the quantity of chocolate bars that the person purchases. So that's a quantity tax on good X1, so it doesn't apply to good X2. So this is how it adjusts only the total spending on good X1, not the total spending on good X2. And of course, it doesn't affect how much money we have to spend. The $100 stays $100. Now let's do ad valorem taxes. So an ad valorem tax is just going to be a percentage tax on good X1. In this case, we'll have a 6% tax on the amount of spending on chocolate. So we know that in our budget constraint, total spending on chocolate is P1 times X1, the price per chocolate bar times the quantity of chocolate bars that we buy. So this is total spending, and that's going to be 6% higher. So in this case, it would be like 1.06, 106% of our previous spending, where our previous spending was P1 X1 for our spending on chocolate. And this is an ad valorem tax just on good X1. So good X2, that part of the budget constraint is not going to be affected by the ad valorem tax on good X1. But what if you have a 6% sales tax, a 6% tax on every dollar that you spend anywhere? Well, in that case, it's going to be let me actually write this out. So if you have an ad valorem tax on all goods, which is basically like a sales tax, that would be 1.06 or 106% of your total spending. Your total spending is the amount of money you spend on chocolate plus the total amount of money you spend on strawberries. And that needs to be less than or equal to the amount of money you have. You still only have the $100, and that $100 needs to cover both the tax and the money that's going to the producer. What about a lump sum tax? Okay, so lump sum taxes are money that you just take away from everybody no matter what they spend on any particular thing. So it's going to actually decrease the amount of money that every person has. And that decrease in money, that let's say it's a $20 lump sum tax, you take that $20 away regardless of people's income. That's lump sum. So it's not like an income tax. An income tax in the United States depends on a person's income. The higher your income, the more you pay in taxes. This lump sum tax is just $20 per head per person. So that's going to reduce the amount of money you actually have. So it's going to be affecting this side of the equation, the amount of money you have to spend, whereas your total spending is this side is still going to be just normal, what it always was in a budget constraint, spending on chocolate plus spending on strawberries. That's a lump sum tax. And then the final tax I want to talk about is going to be the classic income tax. So what if you want to tax everyone 6% of their income, or 6% of the amount of money they have? That would mean that if you have $100 and it's a 20% tax, you're going to be paying less in taxes, the $20, than someone who has $200, because they would be paying $40 in taxes. So it's different from the lump sum tax. What does that look like in a budget constraint? Okay, in this case, we don't have 100% of our income. 100% of our income would be the old budget constraint. Instead, if it's a 6% tax, for example, we only have 94% of our income, so 0.94 M, where the other 6% goes to the government. And of course, here I've written it as 100% minus 6% gives us 94%. So this would be income tax that is a percent of our income. So these are different ways of taxing people, different ways of taxing their spending versus the amount of money they have. All of these are used in different public policy settings, and this just shows you how the budget constraint gets affected in each of these cases.